Welcome everyone. I'm Kaylee Holtzgren, Content Director for Chief Marketer. In today's webinar, we'll be exploring how direct mail is driving customer acquisition and how marketers are using it today. Executives from Franklin Madison Direct will take you through the latest findings from its 2025 Direct Mail Benchmark Report, which provides real-world data about how consumers are engaging with the channel and how marketers are integrating it with digital to drive measurable ROI. Before I introduce our panelists, a quick note about Q&A. If you have any questions throughout the talk, please put them in the Q&A chat portion, and we'll get to as many of them as we can at the end. And we'll also make the presentation available to all attendees after the webinar. So let's get right into it. Presenting for us today is Franklin Madison Direct, Jacqueline Johnson-Leister, VP of Marketing and Client Services, and Preston Carroll, Director, Data and Analytics. These are both fantastic executives from Franklin Madison Direct, and they're going to take you through the next 30 minutes or so of the presentation. I'll come back to do some Q&A at the end. So I'll let you two take it away. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you, Kaylee, and thanks everyone for joining us today. As Kaylee said, I am Jacqueline Johnson-Leister. I'm the Vice President of Marketing and Client Services here at Franklin Madison Direct. If you haven't heard of us before, we're a direct response marketing agency, and we specialize in helping brands like yours and strategic marketing leaders like you achieve scalable growth. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks everybody. I'm Preston Carroll. I'm the Director of Data and Analytics at Franklin Madison Direct. Excited to be here and walk you through what we found in our survey, and excited to have you as well.
So direct mail is dead. You've all heard it. It's one of the greatest myths out there. Preston and I are here to prove to you that direct mail is anything but dead. In fact, it's striking back with a vengeance with tremendous impact. In Q2 of this year, we launched our annual benchmark survey, and our comprehensive research covers how B2B and B2C brands are using direct mail. We look into overall channel performance as well as digital integration tactics. On the strategic marketer side, we surveyed 350 decision makers across various industries.
And we're also gleaming some consumer insights as well across a wide range of demographics that totaled around 600 respondents. And that is going to dovetail off of the marketer's perspective to give some valuable detail on direct mail sentiment or preferences within that consumer pool, as well as how it's influencing their behavior on a purchase decision too.
It is. And today we're going to share tangible tips and takeaways so you can leverage direct mail strategies to produce impactful campaigns that achieve exceptional results. Really, today we're going to cover 4 key items in our agenda. We'll look at those new performance benchmarks for direct mail as well as digital channels. We'll also get into the emphasis of targeting and the importance there in capturing your consumers' attention. And we're going to look at why the lion's share of marketers say integration drives performance lift, and how today's CMOs like you are scaling growth with direct mail. So without further ado, let's start with the marketer's perspective. Big impactful stat here, 67% of marketers report improved performance in the direct mail channel over the past 12 months. So if you think about it, this is 2/3 of marketers saying this channel is not only relevant, it's performing better than before. We also saw that half of marketers surveyed said they increased direct mail budgets in the past year. And truly, those who did increase are seeing that performance pay off with that 67% improvement.
Love to see that, right, Jacqueline? And we love mail, of course, but we know that there are other channels that deserve a good hard look. And that's why we're not limiting our view just to mail, but we're also looking at a suite of digital direct response channels like that of email or paid social/search, influencer, SEO, and the list goes on. We're also looking at legacy channels like that of printed mail, linear TV, audio, and others alike, when we're analyzing the performance of direct mail versus those digital channels, mail was the channel that actually saw the most improvement in 2025. And I would say, Jacqueline, that alone is enough to say that direct mail isn't dead, but I'll let you be the judge of that.
I would agree. And really, we saw half of all marketing respondents, they consider direct mail to be more effective than digital for many key objectives, including win-back campaigns, new customer acquisition, and customer upsell or cross-sale. So 50% of marketing respondents considering direct mail more effective than digital. And these three really impactful and core channels. Direct mail campaigns are clearly resonating with recipients too, as consumers ranked, one of my favorite findings of this research, consumers ranked direct mail as the second most influential channel, in large part because it's enjoyable. So now pause for a moment just to think, we're all consumers as we think about all the different marketing channels or vehicles in which we interact with a brand or a product or a service. Second most influential channel ranked by consumers is direct mail. That's quite impactful. And really, consumers are saying it's enjoyable, in large part, 59% saying they enjoy it, because they can keep an interesting piece and refer to it later. It's tangible. It's something that they can hold on to, and it really is cutting through the digital clutter that we are all inundated with day in and day out. So think about that. In a digital first world where inbox fatigue is real, mail still is sparking positive emotional reaction. I thought that was one of my favorite findings, not only that it's a very influential channel for us all as consumers, but it's really an enjoyable one at that.
Yeah, and to your point, Jacqueline, direct mail is typically seen as a premium channel. It's personal, it's tactile, you can look at it and feel it in your hands. And that high value touch point comes with higher cost, typically compared to digital channels. So what marketers are in essence looking at to compare all those channels on a level playing field is that cost per acquisition, or CPA, is common nomenclature. And despite the environment that we find ourselves in as consumers and how that's affecting marketing, it's an ever rising cost right now to execute any marketing campaign, let alone mail. USPS rates are included in that, of course, and if you know, you know.
Yeah.
Direct mail, even so, is proving to be a very efficient acquisition channel compared to those others in the digital landscape that might be skewing less efficient year over year. Of the survey respondents, over half of marketers are reporting that CPAs are coming in between $100 and $249, and very few are seeing that scale above the $500 mark. When those same marketers are comparing direct mail's stats to that of digital channels, it's clear that mail is stacking up as one of the most competitive acquisition tools, not only from an efficiency perspective, but also scale. And moreover, on the note of scale, mail has fantastic economies that come with that scale, which paired with testing, which we'll get to in a slide or two, that means that the CPA efficiencies that you're chasing are relatively easy to capture because scale is your friend within the mail channel.
Scale is your friend, absolutely. And again, as we think and pivot back to ourselves as consumers, I would be interested to kind of poll the group. So if you have a response to this, throw a note in the chat for Preston and I to review. How many of you still get excited as consumers when you receive something relevant in your mailbox? And think about the beauty of relevance. It may be personalized to you. It's a brand you know and enjoy, or it's a net new brand with a product or service that piques your interest. It's right in line with your psychographics, your demographics, your location of where you live, your interests. It could be a coupon that really resonates well with you, a certain offer, or even a catalog. I love a good catalog myself. So what is it that excites you the most about a relevant piece of mail in your inbox? Shoot it in the chat, and we would love to see some of those responses. Moving forward now to see why mail performs so well. Well, one of the biggest reasons why we as strategic marketers love mail, we're able to test the heck out of the channel. And testing is so very important. Really, creative testing proved to be a mainstay of direct mail strategy for marketers. Nearly all marketers, a whopping 95%, say they test creative quarterly or more, and the majority are testing between 11 and 20% of their volume. So again, such a mainstay in terms of direct mail performance is this emphasis on marketers to be continually testing creative.
Yeah, and on the data front, you'll see over half of respondents are testing news sources quarterly. 42% are testing on a monthly clip. And this isn't meant to say that this is the perfect cadence for you to be testing. Of course, it's going to be driven by the brand's appetite or where you're currently at in your program and what your goals are. So I want to be clear, there's no right answer, perfect cadence to testing, but the main point is that testing is the only way that we're going to be improving. And we can kind of snuff out or dispel that complacency that can sometimes come with our marketing strategies or plans. So if you're feeling that your program might be running stale or maybe not be as efficient as you hope or want it to be, I think it's safe to say it's time to put on your testing cap and bank that knowledge through those learnings in the test realm that's going to help you drive your brand forward. And not making it a spaghetti out of the wall approach, just randomly testing here and there, but letting that mature from a random or ad hoc to an intentional test strategy. That's where we see, and hopefully you as well, see better results, improved engagement, and hopefully born of that is even stronger personalization, which we know as consumers is a nice touch nowadays too.
Right, and almost expected nowadays, right? Personalization in all channels is really something consumers are leaning into. We see that more and more in mail and digital as well.
Yeah.
So for anyone who's a mailer in the group, again, another thing I think would be interesting to see, if you don't mind putting in the chat, if you're currently testing your campaigns, and if you are doing so, what are you leaning into? Is it creative testing, data testing, both? And are you doing that at a quarterly clip, a monthly clip, or maybe even less frequently? Drop that in the chat. We'd love to see how your testing cadence compares to what we found in our survey. All right, now let's see how that testing is paying off with consumers. Well, it's paying off. 70% of consumers say they read or engage with their mail. 24% say they've even made a purchase from a mailer in the past 6 to 12 months. So a whopping 70% engaging. We know it's a highly influential channel for consumers, and 24% saying they're actively converting off of a piece of mail they receive within the past half to full year. So that's a powerful path to conversion. And yet an overwhelming number of marketers, we state mail is even more powerful when it's integrated with other channels. Integration is truly a game changer. According to our research, 97% of marketers say integrating direct mail with digital efforts, whether that's email, SMS, display, the list goes on, it has a positive impact on performance. And we did survey a year ago utilizing the same question, and it's a 7% jump over 2024 results. So even more so, integration is reigning supreme as you think about combining direct mail with other digital channels. And a fun fact we found is that email is currently the most integrated channel with direct mail.
Yeah, that's ultimately where not only direct mail, but any other channel stops being a standalone. And when that look or feel messaging of the mail piece aligns with that online funnel or experience, those consumers are going to be welcomed into a seamless experience that will help conversion jump over that campaign, but also in the long run as well. The more you can blitz that audience with that same message, the more they're going to retain that message and then inevitably convert. When it comes to those that responded to the survey, we found that landing pages are the preferred element to bridge that gap between the offline and online environments. Statistically speaking, over 90% of marketers have a landing page that directly ties to that mail piece. So again, that look and feel is consistent throughout any way that that consumer is engaging with the given brand. And to Jacqueline's point, that digital landscape can also be used to target mail prospects, not just have them land on your page. And by this, you have a truly integrated omni-channel, whatever other buzzword we want to say, approach to customer acquisition. And that performance doesn't lie. 97% of marketers say that integration is the key, and that stack of channels is another great way to drive growth, compounding on that, the testing that you can do in creative data and several other levers as well.
Yeah, it's impactful for sure. And as we think about even our own efforts with clients layering digital tactics on top of mail, we've seen upwards of 40% lift, Preston, with some of our clients and overall performance. So it's quite a powerful duo, layering digital on direct mail. Now, for those of you who are currently leveraging the direct mail channel, think about your own campaigns. Are your direct mail pieces conveying the same, visual identity and offer as your digital assets? And are you integrating channels, and are they targeting the same audience? If not, that's a definite opportunity. All right, as we look forward to how you as marketing leaders and CMOs drive growth, really we saw in our research 87% of marketers plan to maintain or grow their investment in direct mail in the next 12 months. For many of us, myself included as a marketing leader, budget season is upon us. And so as we think about those different channels and where we're focusing efforts, interesting to see that 87% of marketers plan to maintain or grow budget investment in the mail channel in the next 12 months. So let's see how the channel proves to CMOs that it's worth the investment now, as Preston walks us through 3 different case studies.
Thanks, Jacqueline. So first, we're going to focus on a digital-focused home protection provider. And ultimately, they came to us with the goal to build a strong direct-to-consumer presence in mail. They had done some testing, sporadic here and there, but they felt like they hadn't cracked the code on, one, accelerating learnings, but then also doing so without breaking the bank. I'm sure that makes people's ears ring, because how familiar is that dilemma nowadays? But in this case, where we were able to meet that ask and come with a solution was by way of our proprietary test methodology, factor test. Factor test is our flavor of a fractional factorial design for us data geeks, but also for us marketers. It means that you're just essentially getting the most bang for your buck. I'm happy to sidebar and follow up with more detail related to that testing strategy, as I know it can get a little bit weedy. So feel free to hit the chat with questions and we can follow up offline or at the end. But back to the brand at hand, in this case, we were able to leverage that factor test methodology to cast a wide net of creative list and offer combinations. And that was done so we can identify the winners and then, leverage the learnings going forward, doing all of that at a fraction of the cost of just testing millions of combinations at one time, which I'm not sure any brand has the budget for. But anyway, through our performance analysis here, the data unlocked considerable learnings that pave way for a steady multi-million piece program thereafter. So as with any test, like we mentioned earlier, we want that data point to be scalable and repeatable and continue to drive efficiency over the long haul. So thankfully, this story was not a one and done, and you'll hear that again in the future case studies. But we're happy about this win. Don't get us wrong, but we believe that the shining light of this test was our omni-channel test approach in Surround, which essentially allows us to take that same mail audience and target it with our own suite of digital tactics, like Jacqueline had mentioned on a previous slide. So when we read the performance data and compared the, call it Surround or omni-channel group compared to the direct mail group in isolation, the omni-channel approach lent to significant lift in conversion, as you see here, all while driving a lower CPA as well. So anytime we're adding channels, to a mix of a campaign, it's adding cost. The key determinant of success is, does that lift warrant the cost or outrun the cost? And what we saw here was that yes, on both fronts, and we're very proud that we were able to leverage not only for this brand, but many others as well.
Yeah, yes, on both fronts for sure. I mean, I really see bottom line in this case study is smart data-driven testing. You add in the digital surround strategies, and your outputs are major efficiencies and quite a significant lift in performance. I mean, 120% lift in sales rate. That's a slam dunk proof point of how really an integrated approach can take your program to the next level.
This next case study is an example from a similar vertical, but a vastly different goal. This brand was already an established heavy hitter in direct mail. They had a program that was running monthly, and universally across all channels, not just mail, they were seeing a decline in customer value. And the common denominator there was the economic pressures that they were experiencing, and we as consumers and marketers were experiencing as well. So our goal or our solution was to try and rebuild that profitability through surgical deep dive analytics and strategy that was born out of that analysis. So to start, as with any campaign, we're going to start with looking at the data, either performance data or customer profiling. Thankfully, because we were the current managers of the program, we had a wealth of that knowledge already. We were able to analyze historical direct mail respondents, looking at the demographics, the psychographics, like Jacqueline mentioned earlier, and most importantly, the transactional behavior. How are they spending with that specific brand? And through that analysis, we were able to unlock the key attributes or factors that determine a high value customer. So from there, we knew what a high value customer looked like, and we knew we wanted to drive more people like that. We built a predictive model to identify prospects that mirror those high value customers. And our hypothesis in that was that we're going to get out what we put in. If we're modeling to high value customers, we're going to find high value prospects and hopeful converters that are going to solve that question of driving higher value sales or respondents, and hopefully rebuild that profitability, not only in campaign, but over the long run too. And what we saw here is that refined strategy, and through that analytics, we brought a massive lift in AOV, as you see here, and that directly affects ROI, of course. And like I mentioned, this was not a one and done data point. This set the stage for persistent and consistent double-digit lift in ROI, which is all we want to walk away with when we're testing to solve for a marketer's dilemma. And we're glad that that was the case here.
Yeah, that's the power too in aligning that data strategy directly with acquisition goals, right? I mean, impressive to see average order value up 57%. Love a double percentage increase in ROI, 35% in this case. Wonderful to see. And then that 48% boost in revenue per piece mailed too. Again, really securing this as an ongoing acquisition channel for the brand was a huge win across the board.
Direct mail does not only work in protection-oriented products. I want to make that clear. So let's shift focus to retail or e-commerce here with our final case study. This brand was similar to the prior mentioned in that they had an established program, but what they were struggling with was the ability to find scale while maintaining performance, if not improving it. They felt like they kind of met their cap. So like the others, we were able to apply factor test methodology to over 600,000 mail pieces in hopes that we could set a new baseline for performance. That is, again, only the baseline, and then we can improve from there. More specifically, as you'll see, we tested 7 new prospect models, several different model algorithm types, customer seed groups, etc., and 1 new creative to challenge their existing control data sets and creatives. The results here were clear. We walked away with 5 of 7 test list wins, or a 71% win rate, and a 100% win rate on the new creative, establishing a new control. Within just 60 days, we delivered this 479% ROI.
Mind blowing.
479%. That's something that we jump for joy and high five around here about. Not
For
sure
sure.
about others, but this is ultimately something that just speaks to how you can revive what might be a thought dead or stale program with measured testing and then that deep dive analysis that's going to glean the takeaways that can influence a future strategy. So not letting performance at face value just die right then and there. Let that build knowledge that's going to take your program to the next level. And I think this is a perfect example of that.
It is perfect. This is one of my favorite ones. And again, this client came in thinking, is direct mail dead? Is it going to be a viable channel for us anymore? But really being smart about testing and really diving in deep with good analysis and having the right partner, right, in play can have massive impact. I mean, what a turnaround in a short window. And it shows the importance of smart modeling, creative testing, like we shared earlier, with over 6,200 subscribers earned and 1.77 million in incremental revenue. So impressive. And what's even more exciting, again, how the success has set the stage for years of continued growth for this brand. So really just tremendous to see, and love that we get to speak to that and help our clients and brands and marketers really grow and achieve massive scale. It's quite awesome opportunity. Well, if any of these findings piqued your interest, would love to offer you the opportunity to read more and download our hot off the press benchmark report. Hopefully you've seen today, mail is not dead, and it's not just surviving either. It's really outperforming digital in meaningful ways. Marketers are improving results, consumers are actively engaging, and integration is driving lift across channels.
And like we mentioned, when you add disciplined testing and smart data strategy, that's where direct mail has already become, but will continue to be, one of the most efficient acquisition channels that you can put to work for your marketing suite.
Absolutely. And outside of downloading the report, we would absolutely welcome the opportunity to have further conversations with any of you. So we'll show a slide at the very end. If you want to connect with us directly, we'd be happy to walk you through any other findings or talk about your approach and strategy. If you're stuck, how we might be able to help.
I see Kaylee jump back in, so maybe we do some Q&A and tackle as many as we can. If we can't get to any or all, I think we can follow up directly offline, right, Jacqueline?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, great. Kaylee?
Well, thank you so much for that, Jacqueline and Preston. Let's get to some questions now. The first one we have here, can you talk more about the surround tactic from the case studies?
Yeah, I can jump in here, Jacqueline, if that's okay.
Sure.
Well, in essence, the surround approach is our method to enact that omni-channel targeting approach. So in practice, what we're doing is taking our direct mail audience, those names and addresses, and then we're finding those digital identities within those same households. And that allows us to, one, serve digital ads around the same time that mail piece is hitting them. So it's going to be boosting impressions. It's going to be hopefully priming them to respond to that direct mail piece. But it's also our way to create a cohesive environment and experience for the consumer, like we mentioned earlier on in the case study relative to integration and the landing page. Jacqueline, not sure if you have anything else to add, but yeah, it's our omni-channel mode, and it's worked well, like we saw with case study 1, and I'm sure it can work well for you too.
Yeah, again, integrating that digital layer has proved impactful, not only for us and our clients at Franklin Madison Direct, but certainly for marketers surveyed. I think I'd add to that, it's also important to note, the surround or digital tactic, it's successful not only just for new customer acquisition. It works well for lapsed customers, leads, others too. I mean, opportunities are endless, really. We think of this as our way to spend smaller dollars, if you will, in the digital landscape to ensure that the larger dollars we're investing in the mail stream are set up to be the most impactful. It's a great testing mechanism, if you will, layered on top of the expense and impact that the direct mail channel can have.
Excellent, thank you. Let's move on to the next question.
Okay.
I haven't seen direct mail work, but I haven't tested a lot. So what should I focus on?
A good one.
And the age-old question. That's great. Well, like we saw, the report, which suggests that creative is tested more frequently on a quarterly basis than data. You might remember 95% were testing creative quarterly. Data was only 55% quarterly. But our results, although we're not saying data is better than creative, we typically see that data drives bigger swings or bigger needle movements on performance than creative. So in other words, you have a higher chance of seeing a significant difference in performance by testing the data first, right? If we have the best offer and creative in the world, but we're targeting the wrong people, that's sunk investment. So if you're wanting to focus the test, I would say data is probably where you should start, but naturally you're going to progress from there. And I'm not sure, Jacqueline, if you've got additional thoughts on that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's the concept of ensuring, your target audience has got to be pitch perfect before you hit them with your best creative. So the emphasis is both so important, but I think, the order is something to consider.
Yeah, and, both are important regardless of where you're at in your mail channel experience or maturity too. If you're a completely new brand, both creative and data are important. Or if you're a 10-year vet managing a program, both are going to have performance impact. And I think from there, the question becomes, how do you test them, right? Which methodology is the best way to put it in market, not only for data and creative, but other channels as well, or other variables. So I would say if you're looking for the best way to test, your odds on going to be looking at a kind of spectrum where it's lower cost A/B testing versus full scale multivariate. And we can talk through more about those strategies and the pitfalls of both, and we can go from there.
Great, thank you. We have time for one more question, so I'll pose this one to you. Is there any seasonality to mail?
That's a great question too. I can jump in here and say, really comes down to the brand, your product or service, and even, economic times and environment. I would say some of the e-commerce or retail brands that we partner with, typically Q4 is a really strong quarter for them. Well, we think about Black Friday and holiday shopping and all of that. That makes sense. Whereas some of our other clients, maybe more in the insurance space, they see a slowdown during that time, but might pick back up in other quarters, like earlier hit in the year. So I think the seasonality can depend in great part due to your brand, product, service, and the environment.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Jacqueline. The only thing I'd add is when you're trying to gauge whether seasonality will affect mail, typically your other channels are going to be a good barometer of that just for top line response or performance, right? If you see Q4 depression in performance with digital channels, odds are mail will experience that same thing compared to another season that you might see better response in. That said, if you're wanting mail to be positioned as a completely incremental channel to your digital efforts, it might make sense for you to make a splash in, call it the off season for your brand with mail, because that's a way for you to switch up how you're targeting that consumer, but then also bank a learning that says mail follows that same trend, or it's actually a better play for our quote off season. So a lot of factors to consider, but I think that your brand best and what's going to perform best, but ultimately the goal of the test will also dictate what timing you put the mail out there as well.
Right. Kaylee, I know you said last question, but we love these dialogues, so please don't be a stranger. We'll be looking at the chats too and following up with folks who posed additional questions, but also don't hesitate to reach out. Here is our contact information. We would love to hear from you, chat more about either diving into the channel if it's net new, and what to consider in finding the right partner for your brand, or really trying to tap in with a fresh strategy with a channel that may be dead now, but not forever, that we might be able to help you wake up and truly achieve scalable growth. We welcome all those conversations and truly appreciate all the participants today. Thanks for being here so we could share a little bit more about the power of mail. And in fact, that mailbox is striking back.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you both, Jacqueline and Preston. Huge thank you to Franklin Madison Direct as well for making this possible. And thanks so much for the attendees who took their time out today. We'll see you at the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.